Hi there. So I'm going to create this video here to talk about hypoglycemia. I know that a lot of people out there have it. It's like extremely common from what I understand. And I'm just going to share with you what it was like for me and how I've eventually seemed to have moved past it. You know, it doesn't seem to be an issue for me anymore. And hopefully it'll help some of you guys out there. So, you know, the way it would be for me, I'm sure a lot of you guys can identify, is like I would be hungry all the time and it would feel like my brain wouldn't feel satisfied, right? It was like food wouldn't really go to my brain and create that feeling of satisfaction. And it was like sometimes I'd even eat a huge meal and like an hour later I would still almost want to eat more, but not because I was hungry from my stomach. It was like being hungry from my brain. And it creates that cranky kind of feeling, you know, puts you in a bad mood, makes you can't think straight. You know, you tend to get, you know, negative when like your blood sugar feels off. Your whole like brain chemistry feels pretty out of whack. And this was, you know, this is something that I've had for a while. And especially if I would like try to drop a few pounds, where I'd be, you know, very careful about not overeating, trying to actually, you know, keep my calorie intake low. You know, sometimes that would set it off even more. So essentially, you know, this is how I was able to improve it. And when I say now, and when I say hypoglycemia, now I'm saying, you know, I had those symptoms that I just described. It wasn't like medically diagnosed hypoglycemia. I mean, I understand that there is, you know, a way that can be, you know, checked medically. So that wasn't the case with me. It wasn't like a medical diagnosis, but, you know, I had all those symptoms of that brain craving, constant craving in my brain, feeling like I kind of wanted to eat until that was satisfied. And here's what helped me with it. Eventually, now, yeah, it's been fine now for a little while, and I started following a low-fat, high-carb diet. Okay, a diet that's about 80% carbs, about 10% protein, 10% fat, to be specific. And the diet is the Pritikin diet that I happen to be eating. And yeah, it's just like eating a lot of starches, a lot of vegetables, moderate amount of fruit, you know, about 3 to 6 pieces of fruit a day. And with the Pritikin diet, it allows like just a little bit of lean, maybe poultry and fish, preferably fish, maybe like a couple of times a week or something, like a few ounces, okay? It's very similar to the Ornish diet, if some of you know that. It's very similar to the McDougall diet, but the McDougall diet is pretty much the same diet, but with no animal products at all. It's a vegan diet, but an 80-10-10 vegan diet to be specific. Okay, low-fat, high-carb vegan diet. So essentially what I did was I first started the 80-10-10 way of eating, the low-fat way of eating, but I would, in the first like about maybe 2 weeks, I was eating a lot of fruit. Okay, well, especially like maybe the first 10 days, I was eating a lot of fruit. Okay, the idea was that it was suggested to me to just eat fruit until I feel satisfied, not to restrict myself. Eat that 80-10-10 way, get in a lot of carbs, okay, keep the fat low. The main thing has to do with the carbs and the fat, not so much the protein. Even though they used to tell people that, you know, oh, you got to get in more protein, but you know, from what I've read from these gurus that do this low-fat approach, they say that that's not correct. Okay, I know Pritikin said that that definitely was not correct, Nathan Pritikin. And in my experience, he's been right, because I've tried increasing my protein intake, and that definitely didn't help. And it's the lowering the fat and the raising the carbs, because the idea with diabetes and hypoglycemia, they say, is that when you have a lot of fat in your system, it makes it hard for, you know, your sugar to balance out, and it just causes a lot of problems with blood sugar. Okay, with insulin and blood sugar, it causes havoc with that. So when you drop the fat intake, it just, you know, kind of clears the way for things to flow better, as far as especially with carbohydrates, and then your blood sugar will begin to stabilize. So what I did at first is I started eating a lot of sweet fruits for about 10 days, just as much, well, not as much fruit as I wanted. I was probably having somewhere between about 9 to like 15 pieces of fruit a day with low fat. And I was doing that until I was satisfied. And then, after about the 10th or 11th day, then I started to drop the fruit to about 5 pieces of fruit a day, and then just replace that with just healthy starches, healthy starchy food. Any kind of starch, I mean potatoes, yams, brown rice, okay, and any kind of healthy starch, whole grain bread, healthy breakfast cereals, oatmeal, even grits, hot cereal, and trying to exercise every day definitely helps it. Trying to get a little, preferably cardio, where you get your heart rate up, even if it's just for a very short amount of time. And after I started doing that, I started immediately feeling better after eating the extra fruit. Then I started dropping the fruit intake, like I said, after 10 days, getting the cardio in, eating the starches, keeping the fat low, and then it just started to just level out. It just started leveling out and just much more stable, and not that like unstable kind of feeling going on chemically, and I get satisfied a lot easier. It's much easier for me to keep my calories down, and it seems to be working for me. I think it's a pretty simple solution. I'm not taking any kind of supplements for it or anything like that. It's just been purely from diet, and it just so happens to be that this is probably the healthiest diet a person could have. I mean, certainly in my opinion, and from tons of research that I've done, that seems to be what I keep coming across. So that's what helped me. Okay, so to give you something specific that you guys can take with you in terms of if you want to go further with this, look into getting a book that explains how to do the Pritikin diet, or the Ornish diet, Dean Ornish diet, or the McDougall diet. John McDougall, he's the one with the most books out, and they all work great. And yeah, they'll all get you the results. They'll all help you lose weight. They'll all help your cholesterol drop and help you get healthier. So I think they're definitely worth checking out. Okay, so hopefully you found that helpful. I know for me it sucked when I had that, so I'm just putting this out there to hopefully help a few people out that that may be caught up in that, and you should be able to feel that in under a month. One piece of advice I'll leave you with too is let yourself eat a lot when you're getting over this. Let yourself eat until you're satisfied. Don't get too caught up in, I'm afraid to gain weight. For at least, I would say, for 2 to 3 weeks. Just eat until you're satisfied, as long as they're low, the healthy carbs, the healthy starches, okay, the whole grains and some of the fruit. Then after it starts to stabilize, then you can start trying to keep your calories on the lower side if you're trying to lose weight. But in the beginning, you got to sort of throw that away and let your and interestingly enough, I didn't gain any weight. Okay, I actually still was losing weight. Not a ton of weight, but I still was losing weight from week to week, even while doing that, because I was also exercising as well. Okay, so that should really help you a lot. Good luck.